Why am I leaving America for real, for real? Peace, safety, joy, health, affordability, true work and life balance. After traveling a full year in 2024, there was a piece of freedom, a joy released inside of me that I had never felt or experienced before. And unless I win the lottery or find me a sugar daddy, I could not duplicate the lifestyle that I had outside of America in America. And once you truly internalize you only have one life to live, you gotta live it and you gotta go for it. And Vietnam is a place where it was easy for me as an American, recognizing my privilege to get a job teaching. It's affordable, and I found enough of my people there to enjoy it for at least 8 months while I figure the rest out.
It's for sale. Who needs a jet ski? It's for sale. Come get it. Who needs a boat? It's for sale. Come get it. Who needs a trailer? It's for sale. Come get it. Come grab her. Brand new aluminum. Used a couple times. This thing, also used a couple times on a yacht club trailer. It's 300 horsepower. Come get her. Supercharged. That thing, I don't know if it has an engine, but come get it too. That thing definitely works, has an engine. It's like 400 horsepower. Sucks pretty good, man. All you gotta do is, that thing might be for sale too. Come grab her. Oh, this thing right here. This right here is the gold of all of them. This thing will haul anything you want. 5,000 pounds. 5,000 pounds, baby. This thing is fully loaded of gold. Has all the things you want in it.
From healthcare to safety, people are packing up their bags and leaving the US. Hi everyone, welcome back to Mindful Techs. Today we are diving into a topic that has been blowing up on TikTok lately. Why so many people are leaving the USA. Now, before we get started, I want to be clear. This is not about just bashing US or glorifying living abroad. This is understanding why people are making big life changes. Is it the cost of living, healthcare, work culture, safety, or is it just a desire for something different? I've gathered a bunch of TikTok clips from real people sharing their stories. Some are shocking and some are honestly kind of eye-opening. So grab your popcorn, settle in, and let's react together and unpack the reasons behind this trend.
So Americans, rich and poor, are packing their bags and leaving the United States of America. From the first 6 months of this year compared to the first 6 months of last year, Americans moving to other countries has increased by 90%. That's right, 90%. And so that's almost double what it was last year. And so, folks, people are seeing the craziness and the chaos and the instability and the violence, and they're just leaving.
Actually, I can't afford to stay in the country. See, after my husband died in 2021, I couldn't afford to stay in my house. And then after I lost my job in 2022, I couldn't afford to stay in my city. So we sold everything and left and traveled to Costa Rica for the summer. And then in 2024, I took a job that provided housing for a year. But when that was ending in December of 2024, as a single income, solo parent, one income household, widowed mom, an apartment in St. Augustine, Florida, for me and my son would have been approximately $3,500 a month. So I couldn't afford to stay in the country. So in fact, if you can afford to live in the USA right now, you're the one with privilege. I couldn't afford to stay in the country. Not that I wanted to, because it has turned into an absolute shit show. I mean, I don't want to send my kid to school with a bulletproof backpack. I don't want to have my dad in charge of my medical decisions since my husband is dead. And in general, I don't want to be around the hatred and divisiveness that is happening in the USA. So I mean, yeah, that's a privilege, but affording to leave the country? No, you're the one privileged there, my guy.
I left America to live in a hut in a jungle The reason I did this is because America is too expensive and it's too damn complicated. If you want to get an apartment, you have to have like a good credit score. You have to have 3 times the rent. You have to prove your income. And if you're an entrepreneur like me and you have medical debt because unfortunate things have happened to you, then you're basically screwed. You have to live with people. It's really expensive, so you have to end up shacking up with different people. But when I moved here, you got cash. You can just get whatever you want. You don't need a credit score. You don't need to prove anything. You just pay and you get to play. And plus, that's super cheap. A house is $3,000 in America a month. That thing's $300. Plus the ocean and the beach is right down the road. I got friends here, karaoke every single night, fresh buku juice, mangoes, drinking beer on the beach. Best move I ever made was leaving America, and I'm never moving back.
I moved to Sydney, Australia, and I have been so happy. My mental health has never been better. I knew I couldn't go through 4 more years of Trump, even though I think it's going to be a lot more than 4 years. Gerrymandering has already started in Texas, and it's going to continue. It's going to continue unless, there's some pushback, and they don't really listen to pushback or the courts. And so I knew I couldn't take it. I am a black trans woman, and I'm just too old for this. I'm too old. I can't do it. I don't know. Like, if you have all the power to just stay there and fight the good fight, more power to you, but I just don't have a lot of hope in this one. We did this already. Like, we literally did this already. It was horrible. I remember he would tweet, like, bad things to Kim Jong-un at, like, 3 a.m., and people would be like, oh, God, are we going to war? I'm like, what are we doing? This is not a real country. Like, I cannot be around this. I don't want to be around this. And so my husband is from Tasmania, and he lived in Sydney. And so we moved to Sydney. I just moved over here to him, and we got an apartment. Happy here. It is a walkable city, very walkable. I can walk to our little supermarket. It's expensive, but not to me, because I came from Los Angeles. Los Angeles is on its own with expense. Like, any New Yorker or LA person will tell you, Los Angeles is so fucking expensive. But this, I don't find it that expensive. Not compared to either of those cities where I have lived. I've lived in both, and those will break your bank over and over. No savings, no money to go out to eat with your friends, or you have to trade something like your soul or all your free time because you got to work overtime, or you got to take this job you don't want to take. Anyway, I'm going rants about that. Anyway, I'm a gig worker, so those cities were expensive. I had to work all the time and say yes to everything, whether I wanted to do it or not. Yeah, the U.S. is going, it's circling the drain of fascism. It's pretty much there. It's already authoritarian. They're allowed to do everything, and the courts aren't stopping them. And then the courts are on their side, and the courts that are stopping them aren't being listened to. And so, I come from enslaved people in America, and I think that we've given that country enough, if we're being honest. As a black person, I'm like, y'all never gave us our reparations. I'm not fighting this white supremacist war for you. I'm not doing it. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And yes, everyone's like, oh, isn't Australia racist? Oh, everywhere is racist. Everywhere in the whole world is racist. They're colorist. People are nasty to black people. They're transphobic. People are nasty to trans people. Let me tell you something. I am from Woodbridge, Virginia. That is the South. The Mason-Dixon line starts at the state of Virginia. So that is the South, whether you like it or not. There is no racism like Southern American racism. You will never know racism until you have to drive through Alabama, Mississippi, or just stay there for a cheer camp. You're going to experience racism that you thought was left 60, 70 years ago. It is next level. And now it's obviously right in your face now, for all you Gen Zers. Is Gen Alpha old enough to watch this video yet? Anyway, but you're old enough to see it now with this administration, because they're saying this stuff right to our faces, calling everything we do DEI. We're not allowed to accomplish anything as black people. or women or trans people. Everything's DEI. Everything's DEI.
My husband and I were sitting on the porch this morning and we were just discussing the culture in the United States and how there's always this undercurrent of like violence and hostility, and it's everywhere all the time, and you feel very vulnerable to it. And sometimes you don't really even know you're feeling it, but it's there. And I asked him, when you go to a movie theater, do you assess who's in the room and who might be a threat and who might be hiding something in their coat, and like what you would do if they just like stood up and started shooting? Like, how are you going to get out of the room? How are you going to keep our boys safe? And he's like, yeah, I do. And I said, I do too. We never talked about that openly. And we both agreed, like, we do it all the time. We're at the grocery store, at a concert, at church, at our kids' school. What if who among these people is a threat? And what would we do if they stood up and started to do something? How would we get out of here? How would we protect our kids and ourselves? That is always in our minds. And I don't think we realize the mental toll and the physical toll that takes on us to always be doing those mental calculations. And then not only that, but the culture in the US is such that you're always feeling like someone is trying to get one over on you or like use you somehow. There's always this sense of like you're competing, you're not helping each other, you're not supporting each other, you're competing with each other. And that person is he's your enemy. He's your neighbor, but he's also your enemy. Like you try to make sure that he doesn't mow on your side of the lawn too much because that's yours. That's your property. He's trying to take it from you. There's this sense of like, it's real like selfishness and self-centeredness, and gotta get mine and keep mine and not let anyone else take mine. And I'm really looking forward not to feel that all the time. I don't think we realize that we're feeling it. We're not conscious of it all the time, but I really want to not feel it, you know? And I want to raise my sons not to think that way or have those sort of feelings or have to do those calculations in their head about like, how am I going to get out of this without getting shot? That's what I want. So that's why I am taking my two sons, who are 7 and 9, and my husband and myself to the other side of the world to get away from this place.
You said that you're leaving. Yes, we are going to leave. Well, I have a newborn kid, right? We have to build up again. We have to make sure our finances are good, our investments are good. You know, I long-term plan. That's what I do. And, you know, we have more opportunity suddenly showed up in the past couple months, which is probably going to keep me here, sadly, another year. True tragedy. But, you know, I have to make sure that my family has its best opportunity. But I don't believe that I ever want to raise my kid here. No. We'll have a house here. You know, we'll have investments here. But to live here, to have my kid raised here, why? Where's the American culture? Where's the American philosophy that's actually good for a young man to be raised in? And this is a time of epic loneliness in our society. I want my kid to grow up in a place where there's people on the street, where kids are playing, where it's safe, where you don't have to worry about someone rolling up and grabbing your kid and taking off, because the community has each other's backs. That's the place I want. And guess what? Those places still exist. It's just not in America. Right? I've lived outside of America long enough to know that what we used to think America was exists all over the world. The world has caught up to what America was when it was great. America is no longer great, and it's the people who suffer, but we're told that this is still the greatest country on earth. We're told that there's no place that's better than here. And people are like, well, I've traveled the world and there's no place better than America. Why? Why? It's a general question I ask. Why would you say that? Right? And you can say the Second Amendment, but Americans don't use the Second Amendment as it was written in the Constitution, so I'm not going to take that as a reason. Yes, you can go hunting, but you can have a gun license to go hunting in pretty much any country in the world. Is it the freedom of speech? Because it feels like that's going down day by day and no one's doing anything about it. No. Things will continue to get worse in America because the people in America don't have the balls to even say something. You can say, well, you just complain on YouTube about it, and that's fine. Guess what? But I am complaining about it. These are things that we all go through, but no one talks about. Right? What they talk about on mainstream media isn't things that actually affect you and I. What they talk about on mainstream media is things that affect the upper middle class and the upper class. Not us. They don't. Anytime some information slips out that shows the true conditions of the working people in America,
Americans have started to leave the US because of the rise of authoritarianism. And this is something that should absolutely not be taken lightly. I literally saw a report this morning from Australia talking about how they have some applications from this year of people seeking human rights shelter because they are scared of what's going to happen to them. They want to have a backup plan if things go to shit so they can go to Australia and get a visa. And that's absolutely nothing new. Canada has also opened up a program to Americans that may potentially want to leave the country as a sort of political refugee. While that might sound crazy, we are absolutely entering into an era where this is something that people are starting to consider. And even some professors at Yale and other colleges in the US who teach about the rise of authoritarianism and fascism have left the US or have at least started to make plans to leave. And if that's not a wake-up call to other Americans to rally together to join the fight, I don't know what is. The president should not be able to send armed troops to terrorize American citizens. People should not be able to be kidnapped regardless of whether they're foreign-born or American-born, nor should they disappear. So I would really look long and hard into your decision to be apolitical right now because things are changing rapidly in a very bad direction.
Day one of posting every day to try to monetize this account to make enough money to get my autistic son out of the United States. I am a nurse practitioner here in the US, and I have a little boy who is autistic, and we want to leave while we still can. And so it's very expensive to leave. And so I thought I would come to TikTok to try to figure out a way to monetize this and to save enough to just leave this country because we need to get out, and for his safety and just the safety of our entire family. So I'm going to be posting every day to try to come up with a way to make enough money to leave.
Okay, here's the real story about why I chose to leave America. While I tell y'all the story, I'm going to show y'all some beautiful views from Cape Town. Now, the first thing that happened, I was just chilling at home and I was having a three-way call with my mom and my brother. My brother is a year and 9 months younger than me. So I was like, we just on the phone chit-chatting. And my mom says, Eric, do you know what to do if a police officer pulls you over? And he's like, of course I know. I'm grown, we're adults. And she's like, no, but I mean, as a black man, do you know what you need to do to make sure that you're safe during the traffic stop? I was laughing at first, but my brother was getting a little irritated with my mom because he felt like she was fear mongering. And I was kind of thinking I'm in between both of them. I don't really know. I'm just okay, I guess listen, but at the same time, do what you gonna do, right? That's my little brother. He gonna do what he wanna do. But as I started listening to the conversation and I was hearing the passion in my mother's voice as she was trying to caution her only son about how to interact with the police, I paused for a brief moment and I saw myself. I thought about how I have two black sons that live in America and how I may have to have this same conversation with them when they reach 16 or 17 years old and they're trying to learn how to drive. I thought about how sometimes their black skin seems like something to be afraid of in America. And I thought about how I would feel trying to have this conversation with them. How can I tell them to carry themselves with pride and to be respectful and to carry yourself like a man and do all the things that you know to do, except for when the police come around. Because when the police come around, we don't want you to make eye contact with them. We want you to keep your hands on the steering wheel and you can't even have a regular conversation with them because we're at fear for your life for a traffic stop. Now, for a lot of people, this is going to seem unrealistic. It's going to seem unreal. It's going to seem like we're over-exaggerating the situation. But after this conversation, I stopped and I researched. I actually researched the statistics. And the statistics show that a black man is 3 times more likely to be unalived by a police officer during a traffic stop than he is for having a traffic incident, like a car accident. That situation blew my mind. And at that moment, right there, right after talking to my family, I decided that I was going to relocate with my kids. I figured there has to be better. This does not have to be it. This doesn't have to be the reality that I settle for. This is not the one that I want to raise my children in. So right then, that same day, I started doing research on places that we could possibly go for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or just a foreseeable future. I was just trying to figure out where I could get a visa, where I could move my kids to from Las Vegas, Nevada. And one of the first places that came up that I checked all the boxes for was South Africa. So we had about 5 countries on the list. The first one being South Africa. We thought, okay, well, we're just going to visit each one of these countries and see how we feel there, see if we can make it a life. So the first one, we touched down here in South Africa. My dogs ended up getting deported, but the people here, the way the land felt, I can't explain it, but it just felt like home to me. I've never been anywhere in the world that felt like home to me. And I'm not talking about just like one location, like a house, but I mean like the area, the air, the vibration of the community. It felt like home to me. As soon as we touched down, I knew that I wanted to live there. I was 70% sure that we were going to move here before I even visited. But once my feet touched the soil here in South Africa, I knew that this is where I wanted to be. I called my man. I told him, I think we should move. And here we are. We've been here for almost 2 years now.
Leave the U.S.
Do it. I'm doing it next week. If people are saying it makes them want to leave the U.S., they're feeling correct. They should. I am doing it in 7 days. They are welcome to join me. Message me privately for my flight information. I'm going to Tanzania.
Is it going to feel better there?
Yup. Because nothing that is here is there.
What are the things here that are making you feel bad that are
white
not
people? White people and everything that white people make and do and say.
You are white.
I am.
And you're going there.
Yep.
Are you going to infect it with your whiteness?
No, I never infect it with my whiteness because I just observe and listen and ask how I can be helpful. I don't put my business in anybody else's business. So I just go, hey, I'm just here hanging out. If anybody wants help with anything, let me know. And that's what I've been doing for 8 years. And everybody there welcomes me and I feel very welcomed there. And I feel so much better there. And I think most people from the West who go to places like that feel better there, and they don't feel good in places like the US or developed, wealthy nations. That's the problem. Capitalism is the problem. It's one of the many things, but yeah.
Well, here we are. It's Friday, and we are just literally minutes away from the border to Canada as we flee the US. Who would have thought at age 60 that this would be our day and our plan and our actions? And I know fleeing sounds dramatic and like something from a movie, but it's really true. We just feel so scrutinized and so silenced and so being portrayed as enemies within and being portrayed as domestic terrorists because we're standing up for what we believe in this country and what we believe is being violated and is going into an authoritarian regime, and is in it actually, and has been since he hit the ground running in January, the day he was inaugurated. It's really frightening and it's really unsettling, and there's just no peace in that the folks that follow him and voted for him are just being barraged with this indoctrination by this cult of personality to believe through just repeated messaging that Democrats are the enemy within, his words, that all Democrats across the board are domestic terrorists, again, his words, that this straw man that they're building with Antifa to give them something to be outraged about, that they feel they need to take up some sort of vigilantism to seek out and seek retribution on their own. It's just whipping up this frenzy of hatred, just like 80 years ago in Germany in the 40s, when the authoritarian regime there and their leader were messaging out the same things about how races within their country were the enemy within, were animals, were rats that needed to be exterminated. Just like this guy said a few weeks ago that Democrats were just a bug on our shoulder that just needs to be squashed and swatted away. There's so many parallels in history that are being seen all over again. And who would have thought here in the 21st century, years, hundreds of years after a civil war, after fighting for freedom in the 1940s and the 1950s to keep authoritarian regimes like this out of our country and off of our soil, that somebody would rise up from within our country with no political experience and whip up this frenzy of ego and power to try to, again, divisively create this enemy that is anti-Christian, because that's a real trigger and that's a real knee-jerk to a lot of his followers. That they're trying to destroy us, and they're trying to destroy our values. When you look at it, and they're destroying the values in their actions because of who they are. Anyway, here we are. It finds us crossing over into Canada for a few weeks to get a taste of what freedom and diversity and friendship and everything is like. Again, something that we have lost and forgotten since January, with years to go in this regime. Oh my God. 10 months. It seems like a lifetime.
This is just another reminder of why I will never move back to America. I've been living in Thailand for over 2 years now, and whenever people ask me if I will ever move back to America, especially now that I have a young son, I have a 7-month-old son, and they ask, with the public school, the education's better and this and that than it is in Thailand, and I couldn't care less. I really couldn't. I don't think most Americans realize that most places in the world don't live like that. They don't. And I've been through some situations in my life when I was in America. I mean, I had situations where I had pew-pews pressed to my head, and I was in crowds when they went off, and just situations. And so maybe I'm a little bit more tainted than someone who hasn't been through those things, but it took me probably 6 months of living out here full time and going out in public all the time and being around people to shake this underlying layer of stress and anxiety that I believe almost every American has and doesn't realize they have. And it's a combination of everything. It's a combination of the things that are actually happening, right? Because those things aren't fake, they're really happening. And it's a combination of how the media portrays it, how they push it, the division, the narratives that are cast upon everyone throughout social media and the news outlets and all these things. It's a combination of all of it. And living here in Thailand, I just don't even think about it. When we go to the mall, when we go to a festival, when we go to a public place, when I think about sending my son to school here in a few years, it doesn't even cross my mind. And that to me is worth whatever effort, price I have to pay to be out here and not go back. So my suggestion to anyone who is, self-aware enough to realize that it's not like that everywhere is to do what you can to experience it. And I'm not talking about just going on vacation for 2 weeks. I'm talking about experiencing somewhere else that you don't have to deal with these things all the time, and see how you feel after 3 months, 4 months. It is what it is, man. At the end of the day, hopefully you realize that the only thing that matters is that you and your family are safe, healthy, and happy. And no one else is going to provide you that security but yourself. And all that loyalty stuff to whatever, it doesn't get you very far. At the end of the day, it just doesn't. And sorry, but that's the truth. And I hope you guys are doing okay.
All right. Some are saying they just can't afford the health care anymore. And that is sadly not just a TikTok drama. Healthcare costs are one of the top reasons Americans consider moving abroad. Here is the context. In the US, the annual average health insurance premium for a family is over $22,000, not counting out-of-pocket expenses. In countries like Canada, Germany, or France, universal health care dramatically reduces this burden, which frees people to spend on other aspects of life like housing or education. So when someone says they are living for financial reasons, it's not just about income. It's about access to basic needs and peace of mind. Some people also commented about the work culture and burnout being one of the reasons as to why they are leaving the US. This one hits a nerve. Long work hours, constant stress, and little vacation time. The US has one of the lowest vacation averages among developed nations, and over 50% of Americans report feeling burned out at work. Moving abroad isn't just about escaping work, it's about finding a lifestyle that balances career and personal life. Countries in Europe, for instance, have strong labor protections, shorter work weeks, and generous leave policies. And that's why people are considering life elsewhere. It's about reclaiming time and mental health. Someone also talked about safety, education, and the quality of life. This one is about personal and family safety plus future prospects. Crime rates, school quality, and overall societal stability play a huge role in people's decisions. According to recent surveys, families moving abroad often consider better education systems, lower gun violence, and cleaner urban environments as major draws. For many, it's a rational, long-term planning decision rather than an emotional reaction. We have also some people who have mentioned that racism and social climate in the US have forced them to relocate or move abroad. This clip brings up something really important. The social climate in the US, including experiences of racism and discrimination. And this is a factor for many people deciding to leave. Racism in the US isn't just about personal prejudice, it's structural and systematic, affecting things like employment opportunities, housing, education, and even healthcare access. For example, studies show that Black and Latino Americans are more likely to face hiring discrimination, higher housing costs, and inequalities in school resources. For many, the decision to move abroad isn't just about chasing adventure or affordability. It is about safety, dignity, and equal opportunity. People want to live in a place where their race or background doesn't automatically limit their options or expose them to daily stress and microaggressions. Surveys show that people of color in the US often experience chronic stress related to discrimination, which can impact health, career, and the quality of their life. Moving to another country, for some, is seen as a way to find a more inclusive environment or just a fresh start. start, but it's important to note that leaving the US doesn't erase systematic racism elsewhere. No country is perfect, but for many, the hope of living somewhere with less structural discrimination is a powerful motivator. So when you think about why people leave the US, it's not always about money or weather. Social climate, equality, and how safe and accepted people feel are just as important as racism. It reminds us that the American dream isn't the same for everyone. Some people are chasing opportunity, yes, but some are chasing basic dignity, fairness, and a chance to live without constant bias. The US has made legal progress with the Americans with disabilities, but practical accessibility and support can still be inconsistent. Many individuals with autism or other disabilities face challenges with employment, discrimination, healthcare access, or social stigma. Moving abroad sometimes offers better support systems, inclusive education, or social services, depending on the country. For example, countries like Germany, Sweden, and Canada have robust disability support programs that make independent living feasible. LGBTQ plus individuals like transgender, gay, or non-binary people may leave the US due to social discrimination, workplace bias, or safety concerns. Some US states are more inclusive, but disparities still remain. Legal protections for transgender rights, adoption, healthcare, and anti-discrimination laws vary widely across the states. Countries in Europe, Latin America, and parts of Asia can provide more progressive legal protections and societal acceptance, which is a huge factor in relocating abroad. Research shows that the well-being of LGBTQ plus individuals improves significantly when they live in inclusive societies with lower rates of mental health challenges, social stress, and discrimination. So after reacting to these clips, one thing is clear. People aren't leaving the US on whim. There are deep structural factors at play. Economic pressure, healthcare access, work-life balance, safety and education opportunities, and on top of that, there is a human desire to adventure. But this trend raises a bigger question. What does it mean for the US if more people continue to look for opportunities abroad? If you have ever thought about moving or you have already taken the leap, what's your motivation? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this video gave you new insights into why people leave, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and let's meet in the next video.